Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for checking out the channel. Tobin here with you. It means a lot. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Watch Tobin and Leroy every single weekday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on WQAM's YouTube page. Subscribe over there as well, or on Twitch, whatever tickles thy fancy, which we also have coming up on a Friday. Want to do a video here today on Kyle Lowry, and the reason being is I saw that Kyle Lowry is now back out in Las Vegas training at the UFC Performance Center, which is something he's done. Remember speaking with him about this at Media Day. I didn't know that this was a normal thing for him. How did that become headquarters for you?
I've been there about 5 years, and UFC, their whole operation is great. You know, the business mindset, but their performance institution is crazy, and they really have top flight everything in there. And a friend of mine, Marcel Gash, shout out to Marcel. He kind of, he pushed it a little bit more. But I was there. I've been there 5 years now, and this year was like, I was able to kind of go to some fights and see some more different things. So it was pretty cool, man. It's like family out there.
Follow his photographer, Drew Major, on Instagram, and apparently Kyle Lowry goes out to Vegas, and he was working at the UFC facility. I think if you know this channel, you know two things that Tobin loves: Miami Heat basketball and the UFC. I love fighting, and I love hoops. And so seeing Kyle Lowry out there, I was like, oh, this is Goosey's galore. I like the fact that Kyle Lowry is, working his way and getting himself. Remember, there was a whole lot of stuff going on last summer. You had the comments that Pat Riley made, it's saying that Kyle Lowry had to get into better shape. And Kyle Lowry, seemingly was documenting his summer, busting his ass and getting into really good shape. Now, this is the first summer, again, I have followed Kyle Lowry because it was his first real summer with the Miami Heat. The year before, he had signed with the Miami Heat in the summer. He even got a little slappy slap, little note from the detention center from the NBA because they jumped the gun getting Kyle Lowry. But he is back out there and doing some different stuff. Thing that popped out to me is that he is actually now boxing. And you remember last summer, Kyle Lowry actually was joined at one point by Bam. That he had joined Kyle Lowry, that he wanted to see if he could join him out there because he does his conditioning at the UFC Performance Center. And then he goes and he does a little working out. Imagine he does some golfing too. The golf's pretty good in Las Vegas, although it is hot. As a guy who's just in Las Vegas, it is hot as a bastard out there. I mean, it is so hot. I mean, it is like walking through an oven. They always say, dry heat, Miami heat. The only way I can describe it, because, as a tested guinea pig in both of these, is just like walking in Las Vegas right now. It's just kind of like you're in a furnace and it's just blasting on you. It's uncomfortable, but I wouldn't say you walk through it and you're like sweating. You're just like, damn, this is really burning my skin. This is not great, Bob. And I came home to Miami, and it was nighttime. I was outside for 10 minutes. Had a lot of luggage. I was carrying, Leroy was getting the car. I was getting the bags. And I was, like, drenched in sweat. Now, it was not fat man friendly weather, as my boy Romberg would say. It was tough. So anyway, Kyle Lowry's out in Las Vegas. He is back training where he was last year in his normal spot. And it just kind of got me thinking. I was just like curious about this because, it's so interesting. We have surrounded this summer so much with Damian Lillard talk, understandably so, and so much with Tyler Hero because of Tyler Hero's future, of Tyler Hero's role, of Tyler Hero. How good is Tyler Hero? And Kyle is such a fascinating part of all this because Kyle obviously has an expiring contract. You could see why Kyle Lowry being in a Damian Lillard deal would be very attractive because he, matches the salary. You can clear your books. But I don't feel like he's gotten the normal mention as anybody else. Shams just did the whole framework deal of a Damian Lillard thing. And he just put expiring contracts. We all just assume that's Kyle. If the Blazers were to move on, I think it would be pretty weird to be in a scenario if the Heat thing goes down that Kyle Lowry would not be in the deal. I think that'd be strange for positional reasons. I couldn't imagine the Heat, although he was very good at this role last year. I don't know if I could picture a place where Kyle Lowry is $30 million and coming off the bench in this final year of his deal. I don't know if I can see it. I'm not ruling it out. It would just appear to me that the Heat would want to go in a direction of like, we invested very heavily in Damian Lillard, whatever that backup guard scenario is, and they will need help. You've had some reports that they have been in communication with Goran Dragic. Seemingly you would have a number 7 standoff there. So, that would be one of those things where they may have to feel like they have to move on from Kyle, not just because of the number, but I just think like, you're going to have this massive contract in Dame, Bam, Jimmy, and then Kyle, it would be with Dame there in kind of a role. Like, there's been some talk about like, oh, well, what if they keep Tyler and Dame? And even though I still think money-wise the Heat may not go in that direction, just because we're seeing how teams are being more frugal with the cap and all that type of stuff and the second apron that they're trying to prepare for. At least with Tyler, it's like, hey, he's 6'5", he's a good rebounder, off ball, he could fit right next to Damian Lillard. You could still start him. I kind of get, like, it's not an impossibility from a basketball standpoint to do that. Having Kyle Lowry here just to kind of be what he was last year, which was plug and play, fill in the roles. Now, Kyle, I thought, had a really, really good postseason. I did. I thought that Kyle Lowry I think he was plus 17 for the postseason when he was on the floor. Did a really, really good job. And I think especially in that Knicks series, he was an absolute menace. Still inconsistent at certain times and wasn't giving that punch, but that wasn't his role. It really had ceded over to Gabe, and Gabe was kind of like the go-to guy. And then in certain games, it was Kyle setting guys up. But, I mean, I really thought that Kyle Lowry, for as much adversity as there was for him during the year, between the injuries, the struggling, and then rampant trade rumors, it was all over the place. And Kyle Lowry essentially was like, we all thought was for sure going to get traded by the trade deadline until Jimmy said this.
Jimmy, this is a sport about competition, but also about friendship. What Kyle's going through right now, you know what it's like the night before trading deadline and all the rumors. As a friend to Kyle, as someone who's the godfather of your daughter, what's it like for you and being around Kyle in this emotional state until we get to 3 p.m. tomorrow?
Tell Kyle, you got to control what you can control. That's my guy, and I love him to death. I don't know what's going to happen, but, I love Kyle as an NBA player, as a human being. I want to play with Kyle, but so much is out of my control. And just like so much is out of his control, he could be my guy forever. I want him to be my teammate forever. And whatever happens, but that's still going to be my dog. He ain't going nowhere.
And that is a fascinating element to all this Kyle Lowry stuff because him and Jimmy, super close, really, really close friends. Just have a great relationship with one another. But there have been reports that Jimmy Butler has given the okay to go after Dame, Jimmy wants to win a championship. And I do think that Kyle Lowry was given the chance to be that final piece. We talk all this stuff about, Riley's washed, Riley can't get the guy. And like, while Kyle Lowry's not the most flashy name in the world, he is a former champion. They did reel him in and bring him because Jimmy wanted him and wanted that selling guy. It's just been such an uneven tenure with the Heat. Not bad. I don't think that Kyle Lowry was bad. Dealt with a really rough personal year, his first year in Miami. A lot of transition for him. Had to be away from the team at times, and then had a bad injury in the postseason. And it's still, in the Boston series, still gave him some moments where he was important. Then this year, it was more injury stuff, and he's old. I mean, that's one of the things that is a risk when you give a lot of money to a small point guard at that age. And I think that's part of the reason why maybe there's not that many offers for Damian Lillard. Small point guard. When he gets to 35, 36, what's he going to be like? These were the thing that's funny about it is like, these were the years that were given Pat Riley hesitation to give money to Dwayne Wade. That's crazy, right? Like, you think about that now and how much Dwayne even meant when he came back to the Heat after being in Chicago and Cleveland. But these were the years they didn't want to give monster money to Dwayne Wade, which seems pretty crazy if you think about that now. where you see the money that's getting thrown around and the money that they have paid certain guys. So that's another story for another day. And I honestly can't wait for D-Wade to go into the Hall of Fame later this month. But for Kyle, up and down tenure, but yeah, a great relationship with Jimmy Butler. He was supposed to be that, but like it just has. He's had moments in the playoffs, but never been like, hey, we can rely on this guy to give us this night in and night out. There's been those in the margin plays, the competition, the winning plays. I think he's definitely provided that. But like actual scoring punch in the postseason, he gave you in this playoff run, he gave you, let's go, Kyle Lowry never crossed the 20-point threshold. His high was 18 against the Knicks, and was it overall shot it pretty well. Shot 38% on just under 4 attempts a game. But like, yeah, just was as rock solid a role player as you could want. But $30 million for a role player is $30 million for a role player. And I think with the Heat, they're looking for that third guy to be, boom, a home run piece right next to Jimmy and Bam, and that's why the pursuit of Damian Lillard is so certain. But like Jimmy, Jimmy and him, they have a great, hilarious relationship.
You gotta be though, because you don't want to. You talk without the what you call it.
Exactly. Yeah, I would take my shirt off, but I don't want to embarrass him.
For me,
historical context of just what you guys accomplished tonight, being the second number 8 seed to go to the conference finals. What do you think sets you guys apart from maybe the typical 8 seed?
we got Kyle Lowry.
What's up?
That's my answer.
Jimmy. Ooh, that's a fine.
I just hit my ankle on a table.
So I'm, I do think that if Damian Lillard is on the Heat, now if he's not on the Heat, that's going to be an interesting thing. If this does blow up in their face for whatever reason, who knows, whatever. Then I don't think that this is going to be as big a deal for Kyle Lowry coming back if he does come back in a final year. There was some talk. I remember that Barry was reporting earlier on in the year that they were considering stretching Kyle Lowry. I don't see the point in that. I mean, I think that's a little bit wacky. Why not just get off, go your last year with him and then just clear the books and see what you could do there. But I think that was more in a realm of if they were going to try and keep Gabe Vincent, and obviously damage is done there. Gabe Vincent is off and playing for the Lakers. So that was an interesting thing. The only other thing right now in Heatland that you could say is of note that you got to keep an eye on. Josh Richardson, a lot of people have made note of this, pitched throughout the first pitch at the Marlins game the other day, wearing number 2 on his jersey. Rook 2, wearing number 2, not wearing his familiar 0 with the Heat. So, interesting thing there to kind of keep an eye on, keep your peepers on. And Bam has his camp coming up this weekend, and he's supposed to address the media. So, obviously, there's an obvious Damian Lillard tie there. Curious to see if Bam has anything to say about the whole pursuit. I don't think he'll get too in-depth on it. But definitely am curious. Definitely am curious to see where that goes with their multiple-time All-Star and seeing what he has to say about his good friend Damian Lillard wanting to come to the Miami Heat. So those are some interesting things to keep an eye out on. But, yeah, the Lowry back at the UFC facility kind of piqued me. I was like, where is Kyle in all this? Because just hasn't been as rampant talks around. I think it's just kind of everybody just assumes that's probably what it is. But I just thought I just wanted to ponder about it for a few minutes.